Yes, indeed, powerful people. This is another episode of Breaking the Machine. I'm your host, Ahmad the Poet, alongside my partner, Spank the Bank.
What's up?
And today we're taking another incremental step in shifting the studio and shifting the culture. My bad. I was about to say we back in the studio. Last episode we did was virtual. We back in the studio, man. We got a powerful guest in the studio with us today, man. We got an entrepreneur, real life influencer, man. We got a tycoon, man. Owner of multiple businesses, publisher, author. We got Rafa Wright in the studio with us today, man. How you doing today, King?
How y'all doing?
Hey, bro, that name is cold, man. I wanted to say that like that. It got to be like a clothing brand or something, bro. Anybody ever told you that? That's a cold name.
Nobody ever told me that.
Rafa Wright, that's a cold name. I can see that being something like a clothing brand or something, man.
Don't think about that.
I just want to say we honored to have you in the studio today, man. Very honored. It's so many different angles we can go into today, man. But I heard in another podcast you was on, they called you the ultimate hustler. You know, and in my mindset, it's like hustling is a positive thing and it can be a negative thing at times when you overwork yourself. But I wanted to ask you, like, what was something that got you into your first business? Like, what was the first business that you started and kind of what inspired you to do that?
My first business, I was a teenager. I don't know if y'all familiar with the Kool-Aid bags. We used to eat back in the day.
Yeah.
That was the first hustle I ever had. I was selling Kool-Aid in bags.
Man.
And it was a rush of just seeing I'm a studier of people and just looking at like
I peeped that,
you know what I'm saying? Me having back then it wasn't cool to have a book bag, you know, so I'm 33. Carrying a book bag at that time in middle school, elementary, high school, like people clowned you like you was a nerd or some shit. So I because of maybe my size and I took karate and all that shit, people didn't bother me. So I could wear a book bag and still be cool. And I remember just stuffing that book bag full of just bags of Kool-Aid and I brought them to school, and just to see how everybody just gravitated towards me. I'm like, I had something that people at that time needed. You know what I mean?
So you said Kool-Aid, like, was you putting sugar in the Kool-Aid?
Sugar.
Okay. I was about to say, that's what we was on.
Yeah. I used to get allowance, you know, something like $20 or whatever. Went to the grocery store, got a, big thing of sugar. I felt like I was selling drugs.
We used to be moving weight, man. I'm talking about, that's why I asked, like, you putting sugar in it, right?
We was moving weight. But I got hooked from there. And just the power that I felt like I had, in that little moment, like nobody told me what to do. I made, at that time, a living because I made probably about $30-$40, like quick. And I did it for like a good week and a half until the next thing come, everybody ain't doing that no more. So they on to the next thing, candy or whatever. Like I was able to continue to just observe where people wanted to be and figure out how I could position myself in that. And at that point, man, I got bit by the bug, and it's been like that ever since. And I was 12, you know what I mean? And I've had jobs and all that stuff in the time of me becoming an adult, but I've been a full-time entrepreneur 10 years, you know what I'm saying? So
10 years strong.
And the reason I ask that is because I find it interesting sometimes. People be like, getting the entrepreneurship, and it's really just like an allowance for some children. It's like, I got this little extra hustle on the side, even though my parents can take care of me. And then there's other people who just like, I kind of got into it because I needed it, Like me and my brothers, we used to sell gum in school. We used to sell the Kool-Aid with I'm talking like candy, and it wasn't no allowance. It's like if I don't sell this, I ain't got no money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like it was like a survival type thing, and I think it's a different mindset that come when you're doing it for survival, and you really just like. I mean, because I was trying to was you trying to get fly? Was you like, man, this is a pinnacle I'm trying to reach. I'm trying to like get the new J's, because that's how it was for me. It was like, it wasn't just about having money and buying, some new candy at the store. It was like, I'm trying to touch something that I feel like I'm blocked out of.
Absolutely. Because you waiting, for your parents, Like that new video game drop. I didn't have the parents that as soon as something dropped, I had it. You know what I'm saying? Like they bought that weekend. I never had parents like that. So if you wanted it, you had to work for it, So it was either like working allowance, clean up at the crib, and that shit was slow. I'm like, damn, they only giving me like $20, you know what I'm saying? This video game, $200. So, I think we all need it depending on where we are in the world, needing it from a tangible standpoint, like if I don't get this money, I can't take care of my family type thing. That gives you a lesson in, just work. You know what I'm saying? You got to work to get what you want. What you put in life, you get out of it. On the other end, when you want to stay comfortable or you just want more, or you just want to be great, you need it too, because you get to see people, you know what I'm saying? You get lessons in that. You get lessons in both, but, I felt like I needed it because I was real, I ain't gonna use the word shy, definitely just quiet, and I ain't really fuck with a lot of people. So you ain't got no choice if you want to get some bread, you want to make some money, you have to learn how to build relationships. You got to learn how to, deal with motherfuckers you don't want to deal with, or just deal with stuff you don't want to deal with. So it was very important to me. And I had that comfort of I'm not taking care of myself because I was at home with my parents. So it was easy for me to make mistakes and, fall forward, as my pops always say. Fall, that's cool, but as long as you fall forward, you straight. I had that luxury of being able to do so. But it was at that time, you don't want nothing but some shoes and video games and toys and shit. You know what I mean? That's all you wanted. But, a lifelong worth of lessons. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What part of the city, Detroit, you grew up on?
East Side, East Warren, in that Chandler Park area. That's where I live at now. I never moved from that community. Only, a couple of years I moved away, but I'm in the neighborhood I grew up in. Fortunately, everybody is still over there too that I grew up with and around. So it's a safe space, but lifelong East Sider. Can't say I ever move over here and all that. I don't really know, but I'm grown. I got a daughter, so shit, I'm gonna do what's safe and what makes sense, but I'm an East Sider. You know what I'm saying? Day in and day out, I'm from the East Side, and that's where I'm at now.
So how you go from selling Kool-Aid to now selling, fruits, vegetables, and on this health journey? You was giving people diabetes. Now you curing the diabetes.
Yeah, that's funny because I'm diabetic myself.
Okay.
You don't think about none of that stuff, and I think that's what when I was first diagnosed, I was 19. You know what I'm saying? That's an old people disease. You know what I'm saying? Diabetes. That's what your granny and all them aunties got that in their 50s, 60s, whatever. I was 19 with it. You know what I'm saying? That's and now people are even younger getting diabetes. You know what I'm saying? From stuff that we eating. You don't realize that what you putting in your body is affecting you at them ages, because I got control of my fingers, my feet. I got all this energy. Man, I can eat whatever I want. It ain't gonna affect you, and it really is. You know what I'm saying? Like we talk about crack babies and stuff, but we don't ever talk about the sugar babies. Junk food, but you don't talk about that. Junk food and all that did more to the community than crack did. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, my man's probably blew dog brains out over here because he was on crack. His parents was on crack, but shit, what about the dude that ate Cheetos for 10 years straight, for breakfast? He doing the same shit. He wilding out too. So I think that's what started my curve on, like, I want to start being a conscious capitalist. I want money. You know what I mean? Who don't? And some people don't, but I want to be successful, and that's a pillar of success is, profiting, making money. What you do with it that matters. And I started, just paying attention to what I'm doing with my money. How can I make people better? And, putting poison per se. And I'm not a saint, man. I still eat sugar and you know what I'm saying? I eat cake, you know what I mean? I still do all that other shit too, but my diet is much better. But, just looking at what I put in the world, I want to put healthier environments around people that I love, specifically our people. And that's what you're going to get out of it. So that's how I ended up, selling fruits and vegetables and salad and all that other shit. Just wanting to make a better plate for a community, because I didn't have that when I was growing up.
And I do want to focus on the topic of the grocery store itself and the farmland as well. I don't know if you consider it to be a farm or just like an urban garden, but you said half an acre, like that's a farm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I think something that I was really interested in, you doing that a lot of times, because I've been in the conscious world for a long time. I grew up in the Nation Islam, so we always talking about farmland. We always talking about grocery stores and different things. You got a farmland, and you got a grocery store. What is something that, like, some opposition that you face doing that? Like, what is something that you could say, like, this is why everybody don't do it? And another question I had, like, what's your biggest opposition? Is it the white man? Is it your own people, or was it yourself? What was the biggest thing holding you back from this?
Shit, I'll answer that last one first, man. It's a combination of all three. Living in Detroit and in big cities, big urban cities like Detroit, you don't see black-owned grocers. You know what I'm saying? It's probably only a handful of black-owned grocery stores left in the country. This is the blackest city by population percentage in the country, and we don't have one here at all. Opening one, you end up being, shark prey, because we got like 70 stores, and that, we don't have a food desert here in this city. This city is a swamp, because we have plenty of food here. You know what I'm saying? It's just not good food. We have grocery stores that can feed pretty much everybody in this city number-wise, but it's what's in those grocery stores that make it bad. You know what I mean? But they have unionized and, mechanized in a way, and I mean I'm talking the independent grocery stores and now big box companies in a way that it will make it very hard for little old me to just open up a store and be able to really, quote unquote, compete. So that's an opposition in itself. Like, if I wanted to compete with the 60 plus Chaldean stores, that's going to be hard. If I wanted to compete with Whole Foods, that's going to be hard. Not even hard, impossible. But that's a form of opposition in itself. Our people, we ain't used to that shit. You know what I mean? Like, it was never cool to eat shit like that, salads and drink water and all.
What do you mean impossible? Is it because we conditioned to go to I know the infrastructure is big as hell, but is it the infrastructure or is it our brand programming to go to these stores?
It's the infrastructure.
Okay.
They got billions and billions of dollars, and they got decades and decades of a head start. Mm-hmm. If they want to play with the price, they can just turn your lights out. If they want to, buy you out, they can. They can squeeze you out if they want to. I don't look at it as competing at all. I just want to shift the consciousness of our folks. I can survive in the sea, you know what I'm saying? Like, just because it's a shark in there and I'm a little old, finding Nemo fish, that don't mean that the shark gonna get me. Other things have to happen, you know what I'm saying? But I can survive in the sea with them. So not being able to compete with them is not a bad thing. Just, I wouldn't even try to, shit. Because if you try, then you over, you know what I mean? So that's what I mean by, like, you can't compete with them, because you can't. But they don't have culture. And they can't compete with that.
Exactly.
They don't have the culture. They don't have the ability to, like I have, to say, hey, I'm opening this store on the east side. There's 10,000 people over here. Y'all fuck with me. They gonna have the hundreds of thousands of people fucking with them. I just need the 10. Yeah. And I can do that because I can connect with them in a way that they'll never be able to. And that's all I need. So I don't need to compete in that regard. And they'll never be able to do that. Kroger, Meijer, even the Chaldean stores here, they'll never be able to capture the culture that our people got. You know what I'm saying? They'll never be able to, and I'm from the city. So it's going to be easier for me in that regard.
So the opposition that you met from our own community, did that ever frustrate you a bit? Because a lot of us, because that's a conversation that we'd had on this podcast several times. I done had it in the community so many times. Oh, they did this to this sister outside the store. We got to open up, we got to shut them down. But then you doing this, like, did that ever frustrate you? Like, all right, this is where y'all got to put that energy at. Look what I'm doing over here.
In the beginning, it did, but that was because I was looking at everything in such a, outward view. The circle was this big, and I wanted to be in that big circle. And it's like, nah, my circle right here, and I need to cultivate this. If I only got 10 people fucking with it, I need to fuck with them 10 people. Because that 10 people, that can grow into 20 and whatever and whatever and whatever. You know, I had a meteoric rise as far as, like, this project being popular and wanted. That I couldn't handle it because I wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? Like, I raised a lot of money real fast. I had a lot of resources in front of me real quick. and I was not the person that I needed to be to make that happen in 2017 when I started. So now looking back, it's like, nah, shit, people weren't fucking with it because they shouldn't have been. I wasn't ready. So, but in the beginning, you know, you do get frustrated when you see everybody complain about something, and then I'm like, hey, I'm trying to help. You know what I mean? Can y'all fuck with me? And they don't care. You know, they don't want to see it. You know what I'm saying? Or you hear the negative Nancy's that, you know, that shit ain't gonna work. And then I done heard that plenty of times. You know what I mean? And I've only heard it from our folks. I never heard it from other people. It was always my own people.
So people told you like that shit ain't gonna work, like, you know?
Oh yeah,
Man.
yeah. And I've heard that only from us. Now I ain't saying that other people haven't said it outside of our community. Nobody ever told me to my face that was outside of our community. There's always people from our community like, I don't think that shit gonna work, dog. That shit ain't gonna work because you got this, you gotta deal with that, and then if you would stop, then you right. You know, you proving them right. Just I had to keep going. You know what I mean? It would frustrate, it would hurt my feelings, all that, but that's the tearing down of a man to build them up into what they need to be. You know what I'm saying? So I have been torn down and just been rebuilt over and over and over again in every step of this process. So I appreciate it now. And now that I'm older and wiser and stronger, that shit don't even faze me no more. I don't even care. Cause shit, I see where my pocket of support is, and I just go and fuck with them. You know what I mean? I don't have to fuck with, if you don't want it, shit, cool. You know, I don't never got to deal with it. You know what I mean?
What's your definition of, you said conscious capital? I never heard nobody say that.
Yeah, because, you know, we hear so often, and I study, I read a lot of books and watch videos on people they want to tear capitalism down. Like, let's just tear the system down and build it back to something else, socialism and stuff like that. I'm a capitalist. I think the system that we have, I don't know of a system that's better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I've heard of the socialist movements and things, but never seen them. And I think there's a reason why. Like, why have we never seen socialism over here in the United States? Why have we never seen that shit that you talk about? Do we really want that? And I don't think we really do. I think we want the system we have, but people want to benefit from it. And until they benefit from it, that's why we get, you know, what we have. Now, I'm not taking away slavery and not taking away the things that have been done against black people, but this system with heart, you can change the world. I think that like capitalism in its best form, it only caters to smaller populations because it's all about wealth redistribution. It's about wealth accumulation. Somebody takes a risk, creates a product that serves a societal need. You make a bunch of money for it, and then your job is to redistribute what you made. That tends to get very, very hard to do when you have a population that's growing. You see it with the lottery. Like, I can hit the lottery for $10 million, and then I can blow it helping my people, my brothers, sisters, my siblings, parents, whatever. But you don't see me giving that shit away to random people. I'm giving it to people that I know. So that's capitalism in itself in a grander form. I made $10 billion, nigga. I don't know you. So I'm not giving you shit. I'm going to give it to my people, and that's capitalism. But when you add that heart to it, I'm looking at the community around me. Y'all are my family. So the same way that I would help my blood brother, I'm going to help you too. Because who want to ride through the hood in a nice car and everybody looking at you like lunch? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't nobody want to be that person until they become that person. You see all these rappers and shit, that's one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. I believe it. I hear rappers say that shit. I believe it because you're dying because you're successful. And you didn't do that. You know what I mean? What can you say you did? To why you had to shoot me? You know what I'm saying? We got into an argument, you gonna come back and shoot me? You shot me because I was successful. So as a conscious capitalist, I want to make money and I want to live good, but in whatever way I can help you live good as well, that's what type of time I'm on. I'm more than happy with taking a little less if I can give a little more so that it can make your life a little better if I have the capabilities of doing so. So that's when I mean conscious capitalism. That's what I'm talking about. You know, you make money. that's your goal, cool. What are you doing with it? You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying give it all away, but with the power that you have to make somebody's life a little better, just go ahead and do that. You ain't hurting. It ain't hurting you to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it only makes the community better when you can.
Did you ever go through that stunting phase?
Hell yeah.
You gotta keep it real.
Yeah. Especially when I started, I was making money like my young adult years. I was getting it, you know what I mean, honestly. So then it's all pack mentality. Like, this is my crew over here, fuck y'all. You know what I mean?
That's
y'all,
what it is, man.
Y'all gotta get it like I gotta get it. But
it
that's also it has created a detriment to society in many ways too. So again, I was that guy riding that nice car through the neighborhood, and I'm looking at people that I grew up with looking at me like, look at this nigga. And I'm like, damn, I thought you was supposed to be happy. You know what I'm saying? And then them the same people that rob you, get you set up. Them, you never, it's never just a random shooting and random carjacking. It's random in many respects, but it be people doing that shit. You know what I mean? So I was that person. And I don't say it's a bad thing. It's just not for me no more. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen just, especially after the pandemic happened and people had all this shit and they didn't have their health. You know what I'm saying? It was,
I don't mean to laugh, but
but it's true though.
Yeah.
Like, niggas was dying.
Yeah.
They had a lot of shit. They had cars and women and this and that. And shit, COVID didn't discriminate. It took everybody out if it wanted to. So
Shit, I bear witness.
yeah.
So
we all did.
Yeah, so realizing that I didn't need all that. And then, once I started like minimizing my life, like you look at like your anxiety levels, and because it take a lot of stress to keep that shit.
Man.
It take a lot of stress to keep it. You know what I mean? Keep your cars, and they had to stay clean, and you know what I mean? Your clothes, you got to stay current with the fashion trend.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you paying attention to all that shit, like, that's a lot of mental energy that I could be using somewhere else. And once I let that go, and I'm not dissing nobody who still hold on to that, because I see a lot of people that do it well. I was realizing I wasn't even doing it well. Like, I'm looking at my body shape, and I'm like, I can't wear this tight shit like that. And you know what I mean? It's just, I'm like, I got to let this shit go. You know what I mean? Once I let it go, my focus on the work that I was doing, like, it just intensified, and I'm still able to stand next to them fly, cool looking niggas, and I could just be a basic guy. You know what I mean? We can date the same women and do all the same shit. You know what I mean? I'm not without in no way, shape, or form by just minimalizing my life. So, yeah.
But where y'all think the pack mentality comes from? You know, like you said, I got my group of niggas over here and y'all over there, and that's how it is. Because growing up, I was the same way. You know what I'm saying? It's
I think that's
is that how life is?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, like villages, and I think it's always been like that.
I feel like, because I watched in another podcast, you was talking about back in the 50s and 60s when we were segregated, right? Before it was desegregation, it was like we were stuck together. Now, I don't know if it was more like that then. I don't know if it was still like that, but I feel like even the conscious movement kind of separated us, right? Because you got the Black Panthers, then you got the, this group over here, and then you got the NCAA, and then you got Martin Luther King group. That's when I identify happened. But before then, we was all just like, but
I think we was always like that, even around that time.
I mean, I know, if we date back to Africa, you got the tribes and different things, but I don't know if it was.
You just named it.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, was it like it is now?
I don't know.
So it's a combination of both. It's always been there. It's just animal nature. Humans are animals. You know what I'm saying? We primates. It's just human nature. It's just animal nature. You see dogs, they run in packs. Wolves run in packs. Lions and big cats and felines run in prides and shit like that. They naturally just run in groups because it's a survival advantage. You know what I mean? Like, there's a study on the biggest fears that humans have. And the number one fear on average for humans is public speaking. It's not death, it's not dying, it's public speaking.
That's crazy.
But it's because of a primordial fear that we built back in our hunter-gatherer days of being away from the pack. So you would be in a group because you didn't have a home, you didn't have dwelling, so you had to go from spot to spot to find food, water, place to stay warm, all that shit. You tend to have a higher survival rate if a lion come or a hyena or whatever back in them days if you was in a pack. If you got separated from the pack, and just imagine it's nighttime and you in the jungle and you see eyeballs, lions and shit, they hunt at that time. We picked up this fear of being away from the pack because if you seen it with a pack, you wasn't scared. That translates because it just kind of saved in our DNA like a memory card. And as we advanced in civilization, we started building homes and we got away from animals, but that fear never left. So that fear just kind of transferred to other circumstances. So now when we get on a stage, you could get on a stage of an award ceremony. I just won an award, get on a stage, you see eyeballs, you get scared. They here to celebrate you, but you get scared because it's a saved primordial fear of being separated from the pack. It's not a bad thing to be in a pack. It's a bad thing when we see all these other social constructs added to the pack. Then the shit get weird, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just becomes something that it don't need to be, but it's all about survival. When we talk about black people sticking together, that's black people sticking in the pack. You know what I'm saying? If you by yourself, shit, you can't stand up against everybody else that's together. All these other groups of people and ethnicities, they together. They may not get along. They may not agree on every topic or subject matter. Us, we get into one argument. I ain't fucking with that nigga.
Why is it like that, though?
Do you think, and piggybacking off the question, do you think that whole animal kingdom reference is based on how it's supposed to be, or have we fallen from grace, or is it just like it's always been like this? Because, like I said, I grew up in the nation, so we believe in that whole God construct. So, but I do believe it is an animal type, kingdom type stuff going on, but I don't know if that's how we was originally or if that's just where we at now.
Everybody doing a little makes the job easier. I don't got to do a lot when there's a group. Mm-hmm. I think that's divinity in itself. You know what I'm saying? Like God, if it was just made for it to be a singular situation in our life, God would only create one person. There's a bunch of us, you know what I'm saying? We have the capacity to reproduce just like animals. So
it's still love in the pack. It's still love.
Absolutely.
Because that's all I wanted. Can we all love each other? I ain't saying we got to like each other, but damn it, can we love each other? Shit,
it's always love, and it's supposed to be love in the pack.
Yeah, it's love in the pack.
But I think you asked, like, when did it started going wrong? Mm-hmm. Like, you can look at slavery, you know what I mean? Like, I think that played a big role in how we started to dissonate, you know what I'm saying? And even then, we have to give proper context where proper context is due. The African continent is big as fuck.
Yeah.
You cannot believe that all these people got along on that continent. They just didn't. You know what I'm saying? You had war, you had slavery, you had fighting and infighting. You had things that happened just like it happened over here in America because it's just human nature. You know what I'm saying? Being ripped away from your home continent and taken to another place, like slavery with Native Americans, it just didn't work. They knew the land. You know what I'm saying? Not only were, they could not withhold or withstand the diseases that white people brought over here, couldn't just enslave indigenous person over here that know the land. They run away. They know where to go. They know where to hide. They know that they can fight back. We got taken from that comfort zone and brought over here and into the Caribbean. We didn't know that shit, so we couldn't run away anywhere. But that was a time where we were kind of forced to start sticking together, you know what I'm saying, and living together. But slavery, they had their methods, you know what I'm saying? House nigga and field nigga, light skin, dark skin, and this, that, and the third. Like, they had their methods that play into today. But I just go back to, like, it's just natural human nature, man. We just...
I got a question, because you just called me on that with the Native American being slaves. So I don't know if it's a myth right now, but I have been seeing that black was already here. So how do I'm trying to think, man. Can you elaborate that? Like, is it a myth or is it somewhat true?
depend on who you ask, and it depends on the context, or depend on how you feel about it. Me personally, do I believe that people of African descent landed in the Americas prior to white folks and prior to us being slaves? I believe that was highly possible. I think the real question is, does it matter? Because I think when you get over here, you see the influence of the people that were over here, right? Like when you see, for example, the Moors conquered so many parts of, and you should be familiar with all this being in the nation, that
Yeah, I know.
the Moors were African people that took over and conquered several parts of Europe and changed Europe. You see the influence, like when you see Spanish and they have L something, that's Moor influence. That's from Africa, right? That's Muslim. Right, it's AL usually in Muslim, but they changed it to L for Spanish and those other languages. So you see the influence. I don't see the African influence in America for that time period. For us pre-Columbia, I don't see the influence. You see it in slavery with our food and the different ways that we incorporated music and culture and things like that. You don't see it pre-Columbia. You see indigenous influence. Does that mean that we wasn't over here? Do that mean a few of us never came over here? Hell no. I mean, Mansa Musa's uncle, in theory, went to sea and never came back. That's how Mansa Musa became king of the Malians. The theory was he landed over here and never came back. But how much of an impact do you see before Columbia? You don't really see the influence. So do I believe we were already over here? Absolutely. Do I see how it changed anything over here? I don't. So that's the way I look at it. People who probably done more research to say we wasn't over here before. Some people did a lot of research, say we definitely was over here before, but I don't really see the influence to make it matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know where we can see the definite influence. That's from the transatlantic slave trade and shit like that. You know what I mean? So that's my take. But what the fuck do I know? I'm not a scholar or none of that shit. But that's my theory on it.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, in the nation we teach that it's really just, well, it's a lot of tribes, but it's two big tribes. It's the tribe of Shabazz, and then you got the Indians. So to me, it's all the same. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, the way their hair is and the way their skin comes out a little bit. But the reason we different is because we was the ones who were subject to the jungle that you're talking about, which is the tribe of Shabazz, those who went to the jungle, and then those who stayed on the other terrain was the Indians. But to me, it's like all the same. And then we taught that the Indians were over here when Columbus and them got over here, was exiled for worshiping different deities, you know, worshiping the sun and all different things. They was exiled from the original land, so they was already over here. But, you know, like you said, you know, depending on who you talk to, they might give you some different this and different that. But I see like we all the same. Like when I look at anybody, I'm like, man, we all the same. We all original people. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, and you can't argue that melanated people, if nothing else, are the original people on this planet. You know, that the first people that were planted, created, however you want to look at it, from this planet and this world, this existence, they came from Africa. So we all are African in that respect. You know, you can see the migration. I got a map on my crib, like on my wall, my accent wall, I got a world map. When you see Africa and you see Europe, I can absolutely see like African people, you know, we wasn't dumb. So we definitely could have figured out a way to, you know, build a ship big enough or capable enough. We understood astrology, astronomy. We understood the weather. We knew how we could get on a ship and sail over here, I'm pretty sure. So it's not you know, for me, I believe we was already over here. I don't see the impact for it. So it's totally easy, you know what I'm saying, to see it. But the original man and original woman come from Africa, and can't nobody dispute that. Ain't nobody ever gonna dispute it because you can't.
Man, one of your interviews, you were saying, our culture, black people, we go through mental health, financial issues, but we eat McDonald's, Burger King, and we can't solve them problems all because of what we eat. What did you mean by that?
It's biology. You can't think right, you can't be effective. You know what I'm saying? And you can't think right eating that shit every day. It's not real food. So, you know, how effective can you be in solving any world problems? Just going back to the crack baby and junk food baby situation is like, can you fault little dog for nutting up? Like, look at what he ate for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, his chemical imbalance up here is fucked up. So he don't have proper judgment or proper respect. He don't care nothing about how you feel and all that because shit, he can't even really grasp a concept of himself. So, you know, our food, our diet, you know what I'm saying, so much of our health and our divinity is held in our body. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you believe in spirit and the mind and body being connected spiritually to explode, you know what I'm saying, you can do anything you want to do if you are imbalancing those things. If your body ain't suited, all that spiritual power that you can harness, can't harness it with a fucked up body, especially the brain, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't think right, how can you be great? You know what I'm saying? If you're not focused on the court and if you're not focused when you're doing your job, like let's say you work in machinery, you're going to cut your hand off, going to cut your finger off because you can't focus because you ain't properly, you know, you ain't eating right. So that's what I really meant by you can't save the world eating that shit. It's not real food and it's only going to fuck you up. You know what I mean? It's going to fuck your stomach up. You're going to die sooner. You're just not going to be the effective person that you can be eating off that shit every day. I ain't saying don't eat it, but you can't eat that shit every day. You know what I mean?
You said you ain't a boss till you hire somebody and until you have to fire somebody or discipline them, which I find is very interesting, bro. What kind of helps you develop your ego, like, you know, like minimizing your ego? Because I can kind of tell, like, you kind of like a Zen spirit, bro. But I was interested in that other period, you know what I'm saying, the period of the flashing and the flossing. How did you get here, like, get into that, and did, like, business help you kind of, like, calm your spirit and just, like, minimize your ego? Because to deal with other people's energy is like it's an ego death. Yeah. So like how was that process for you?
Business, but life in general.
Yeah.
In business, and one thing that you pay attention to, businesses is self-employed, and then you have employers. We have a lot of self-made, self-employed thousandaires, 100,000aires, millionaires who don't have help. They just got it, bang, it's just them. Are you really tested? I mean, you are tested because if you made $1 million and you did it with like a small crew or by yourself, you went through some shit. Mm-hmm. It's different when you're responsible for other people. When you are like no different than a parent, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just about to say that. You can be a great person, you're gonna become either a greater person or a less great person when you have a kid, and you have to be responsible for feeding it or him, you know, making sure that they safe, warm, all that stuff. It creates a whole new challenge. And that's what business is. Like a lot of, especially in the urban community, it's a lot of self-employed people. It's not a lot of employers. You don't know how tough you are until you have to be responsible for another person. And you got to pay that person, you got to deal with that person's attitude or let them go. You know what I mean? Especially in small businesses where who are the people you usually hiring first and hiring the most? People you know, family, friends, and shit like that. Tell your friend, I can't hire you no more. You know what I'm saying? You fucking up my business. You know, your parents or your brother or sister, like, you are tested in a way that you probably will never be tested in business when you in that hot seat. Because it's always your fault. Like, even when that employee fucking up, they going to find a million reasons to blame you for it. You know what I'm saying? They don't ever look at what they doing.
Yep.
It's just always your fault. You know what I'm saying? You didn't pay them enough. You paying them more than enough, but they always going to want more. They pick up bad habits that they just feel like they're entitled to have. I'm supposed to be late because I'm your people. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to do whatever the fuck I want. And because you are the one, it all falls on you. And that's when you become that real boss. Because you ain't a boss for yourself. I mean, you can always hold yourself accountable much easier than you can hold another person accountable.
So is it easier hiring people that you know or people that you don't know?
I mean, the 48 laws of power say it's easier to fuck with enemies versus friends. I don't tend to believe that's linear. You know what I'm saying? Like, you and your friends, man, y'all can have them triple beam dreams and say, man, we about to come up. And you see it in music and see it in other respects. But it's also another side of that where it's like you hire somebody you fuck with and they change up on your ass. So, or you change up on them. So, it can work both ways. I've seen situations where it works. I've seen situations where it don't. So, everybody different. Every situation is different. You don't know until you get there. And when you get there, then you'll see. But that's where the tests come. It don't come, even with money and self-employed people. I don't want to knock them either, but it's like when you get all of that money or whatever you looking for, all that fame, and once you get it, that's the test. Because either one, you got to keep it or you want to make more. But that's you also want to, that's always the hard part. Or you just want to stay sane. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's that part.
You want to stay sane. I've seen, especially like at the little, ascension that I've had locally, I'm like, I see why Britney Spears cut that shit off. I see why she cut her hair. I see why, you know what I'm saying, Kanye flipping out the way he flipping out. The pressure of it. It's the pressure that.
And you can't say shit.
Yeah. It's the pressure of it. And when that pressure comes, that's the test. And for me, it was easy when it was just me. When it was just me doing everything myself, although I was tired and although it was, very exhausting, it was easy. When I started working with other people, that's when I started getting my ass whooped. That's when it became a real thing. Like, oh, shit. Like, I'm not as tough as I thought because I got to fire somebody. You know what I'm saying? And now you thinking about they family and now he got to get a new job or she got to get a new job or whatever. Or they good people, they just not keeping up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it ain't show, it's show business, not show friends. So you kind of lose that piece. But when it's all said and done, that's the test for me. You know what I'm saying? You are not no real boss until you got to hire a motherfucker, and you ain't tested until you got to fire him. Because when it's working good, shit, you ain't got no test. You know what I mean? Straight. But when it's working bad, how do y'all gel? How do y'all work? And how do y'all, maneuver and improve? And that's when it's a test. So, yeah.
Man, how did this neighborhood grocery store get started? What sparked the idea to go this direction?
I shifted my focus on like social entrepreneurship full time like 2015. Started reading books and just looking at the community and the neighborhood. And it's like my textbooks didn't teach me this shit. Like, it taught me basic textbook shit. It didn't teach me how you are planted in a fucked up environment. How do you maneuver in it? Like I said, I was the guy riding through the hood in a nice car and I was lunch. So I just wanted to change that. And then you start examining the community and community functions. What makes a community a solvent, thriving community, and what is killing it? And food is always the foundation. A community that can't feed itself can't do shit. A community that has food and has the ability to control that food, those are communities that are really, number one, they are independent. You can't control nobody that's feeding themselves. Like, you just can't do it, you know what I mean? No different than, I don't know if you've seen the movie Cadillac Records. There was a scene when Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters were having like this exchange. They didn't like each other in the movie. And one of their label mates had passed away. Lil Walter died. And Howlin' Wolf said, here, I'm going to give a few dollars for the funeral. And Muddy got an attitude about it. And he like, man, I feel good not having no daddy. I just want you to feel the same way. You know what I mean? Like, because this label is your fucking daddy. Like, they telling you what to do, what to wear. They paying you. They're feeding you, giving you your money. And you worth more, but you only eating what they give you. I feel good not having no daddy. You know what I'm saying? I feel good being able to feed myself. Communities that can feed themselves, and think about black communities, we haven't fed ourselves since shit, I don't know when.
So they took the farmers out.
They took the grocery stores, the farmers, and then, fast food came in here and other people from other communities feed us. And we don't feed ourselves. So I'm like, I got to start there. You know what I mean? It don't end there because we got other things we have to address. We have to, not only feed ourselves, we got to educate ourselves. We got to provide ourselves our medicines, and we have to tell our stories. We got to control our media. It's powernomics that, I'm losing his name.
Dr. Claude Anderson.
Dr. Claude Anderson. It's all the shit he talk about. But I'm like, we got to start there. You got to start with food. So food sovereignty is where it starts with me, and that's where neighborhood grocery was birthed. We have to build grocery stores. We have to have control of our food so that we can do all that other dope shit that we want to do. Because if we feeding ourselves, we think better, we can move better. So that's where it started.
You ever thought about mentoring, like some of the, or do you mentor?
All the time. Yeah, all the time. It wasn't something that I thought I could do. Again, like just kind of being chill and kind of, but it seemed like I get in front of people and, they fuck with it, you know what I mean? But that comes from culture. A college professor or a person not from the community can't always do that. So definitely do mentoring. I'm an accessible guy. I just got 10,000 followers on the gram. I'm always, I said Spank DM me. I'm always on that shit. People, if I don't respond, that's because I just didn't want to. And that's a lot of.
I feel. Thank you. Yeah, bro.
You.
Yeah,
sorry.
But that's a lot of celebrities too. They see that shit.
And that's mental health trauma too. Because sometimes I don't even just feel like conversating. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it just be like, shit, man. I saw that message.
But I was a fan. I was a genuine fan. So, and it wasn't like, oh yeah, let me ask to be on there. I can't say I didn't have nothing to talk about. It was just kind of like you just kind of in motion, and when somebody hits you up, you start carving shit out your schedule. Like, oh shit, this day I can do it. You know what I'm saying? I've been listening to this podcast. I'm like, I'm a fan of this shit. I fucks with.
I respect
that. Yeah, I respect that
because the subject matters. I fuck with the guests. I fuck with how y'all approach everything. So I'm like, shit. When I got asked, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm coming.
No, because I fuck what you doing, man. Like. Yeah. That's some dope ass shit. Like, I don't know if y'all know him, bro. East Warren is one of the worst neighborhoods in the city of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? And for you to say, fuck, I'm gonna put a grocery store to feed my people, man, how can they hate you? You feeding people, literally. You know what I'm saying? Now, what is crowdfunding? I see that, people can get in, they can invest $50 and become an investor.
Yeah.
Like, I heard of crowdfunding, but I don't know I don't really know what it is.
So, crowdfunding is Gofundme, Kickstarter. That is the formation of crowdfunding. You have an idea or you have a cause that you need money for. I don't have to go to the bank. I don't have to go to some, Silicon Valley firm or whatever and say, hey, give me $1 million. I can go to my community and say, you give me 10, you give me 10, you give me 10, or give what you can because I want to do this. So the grocery store started as a donation-based crowdfund. I was on Gofundme. I still am, because people outside of the community, I don't want to just say, oh, fuck y'all money. Like, no, it's people that want to help out. They don't want to invest. They just want to help. So I started on the donation side. So people donated to help me, get capitalized to do everything you see now. The equity crowdfunding because it's two different pieces. President Barack Obama created an act, the Jobs Act of 2012, that pretty much gave small businesses the power to raise money like a Fortune 500 or publicly traded company. So when you go on Wall Street and buy stock, that's only for publicly traded companies, big companies at that. A small company, we struggle. You know what I mean? Like, I got to go to a bank. I don't got the credit for it. I didn't inherit wealth to do it. So how the fuck do I get capitalized? Well, Barack Obama said, y'all can raise money. Y'all can sell stock in y'all company like a big company can. And that's equity crowdfunding. So that allows me to, instead of saying, hey, you can donate, that $50 that you was going to donate, you can now become an investor. So when I make money, I can share a piece of that money with you, as opposed to you just gave me money and out of the kindness of your heart. I can structure this project like an actual investment and create a more of an incentive for you to help me out. So that's crowdfunding in essence. It's really the future. And if you think about it, people been doing it for decades. And, you know, everybody but black people for the most part. Like,
You said it's the future. That just went on my head. Damn.
no, it's definitely the future, but we've been doing it. Like, you see, like Asian communities, you know what I'm saying? They come over here in America. They already got their community set up. So another person from, you know, they native countries, whether it's China, Japan, whatever, they know exactly what community they need to go into. They come over here, the community is pulling funds. So it's like everybody in that community, you got to put $100 in the pot. We gonna loan that money to our cousin that just came over here from China, and he gonna get a job, or one of y'all gonna hire him, or he gonna take that $10,000 or however much we gave him, he gonna start a business. He got to pay it back to the community. But everybody does it. African people, when they come over here to America, they do it.
They do.
Caribbean people do it. Hispanic people, Latinx people, they all do it. But African Americans, we got away from it. We were doing it, but we got away from it. Cooperatives and all that shit is just a bunch of people. There's 100 of us in this room. We all got jobs. All we gotta do is put $100 in a pot a month. We got all the money we need to do whatever we want. So that's really what crowdfunding is. It's now something that the government can vouch for and manage, or not manage, supervise, and it's making it easier for small businesses to get money. And I don't got to go to the bank. I don't have to go through that strenuous process and, you know, feel like I ain't shit because I don't got the credit score and all that. It's like, nah, I got people that believe in me, and I can get money that way. And that's crowdfunding.
And that shit's powerful, man, because my mom recently started doing that with our family, you know, pulling our money together and then buying properties. And I thought that was stuff was like amazing. I'm like, dang, this is crazy. I didn't know it was that easy to buy properties when we all pitch in and help each other out. You know, my mom, she kind of like the business mind, so we just let her run everything. But it's crazy because you said something real powerful. I was like, man, what the hell? In another podcast, you said Gofundme is like the funeral website. And I was like, damn, I never thought about that. But that's true. I forgot GoFundMe was for anything other than funerals.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, dang, that is really a crowdfunding website.
And
but
it's
when
the
I think
culture.
about it, it is.
It's the culture. Our culture.
Damn. That shit just went on my head. Damn.
Yeah, our culture only, when you see GoFundMe,
It's for somebody
you look
dead.
at, and, oh, this nigga done, his house burned down, you know what I mean? You shouldn't have been spending that unemployment. You should have saved that money. Your house burned down, now you on GoFundMe, or all that money you was blowing, now you dead, now they raising money. It's like, if you looked at GoFundMe as economic development like everybody else do, man, niggas is starting businesses, they starting all type of shit off of GoFundMe. It's black people, our community, that's looking at it and shaming it. It's like the moment our culture shift and say like, damn, I got $10, I'll get, and I was fortunate. I think I was one of the projects in that GoFundMe pool back then and them years ago that people say, I fucks with that. I got $10. I'm gonna throw $10 in there. I got 100. I got whatever. I'm gonna do that, and it helped me out tremendously. But traditionally, when you see GoFundMe, you just automatically assume somebody dead and they didn't take care of them, they money and all this other shit. They didn't have insurance, or somebody's house burned down. They should have had insurance, not knowing that we all victim to discriminatory insurance practices. That, you know, the average black family ain't worth shit. Mm-hmm. So even if they do die, you know, I mean, who gonna scramble up like, we go through these things every day. So why are you shaming the process? You know what I'm saying? Like, just, if you got $10, give. If not, shut the fuck up. But we've looked at this platform that could be so powerful as just some bullshit. And I'm fortunate that I was able to get away from that. But so many other people like just haven't been able to. That got dreams like, man, I want to open this business and shit. I don't have a credit score. I'm black. Can't get no loan. I can't get no investment from all these people. But my own people, shit, you got $10, you can't even give it to me. So it's like, it's the culture. Once we shift that culture, then it's no longer the funeral fund, it's economic development. And that's what I really been trying to do with my project, because you can fit anything in that box. It ain't got to just be a grocery store that you crowdfund for. You can crowdfund for anything. That's why I say it's the future, because we going to see something that we need in our community, and we going to crowdfund for it. Because we going to say, man, I ain't going to the bank. I don't trust them. So at some point, we coming together. Our people, we getting better at it. You know what I'm saying? We coming together. We working together. At some point, shit, our bank's going to really be around. are they gonna be needed? When I can put $100 a month into something, $10 a month, your family already starting it. When y'all see that bank pile up, it's a whole, again, I'm feeding myself. Ain't nothing you can do to me. Tell me, you can't force me to do shit, because look at what we doing as a family. When the community's doing that, when the culture doing that, we ain't about to have no more complaints about contract disputes and, Colin Kaepernick can't get a team to sign him. We can be creating our own leagues and just do whatever we want to do with that simple function of just investing in ourselves. And that's really what I've been wanting to do, and that's what I've been showing. It ain't easy. You know what I mean? I still got a funding gap I got to close, and I'm still raising funds because shit don't stop. This is a big project. But with all that being said, I'm showing niggas that it can be done. You know what I mean? And I want people to, don't be afraid to do it. And I want the community to embrace these types of projects and respect them. So,
And that's crazy, man, because... Man, it's like none of us was born into inheritance, so it's like that's really our reparations for us to crowdfund and then for us to be able to chase our dreams. If somebody crowdfunds and gives me 10 bands to chase my dreams and to create this conglomerate that I got in my mind, it's like that's my inheritance. That's my reparations. I should have had this at birth. You know what I'm saying? When I graduate, turn 18, I was supposed to have this. You know what I'm saying? But I have a dream that I can't chase because I ain't got the money. But I wanted to ask you about agribusiness because my mom, she's taking a course at Michigan State because I got a satellite campus in Flint. And they really giving game to the community for free. Like the course is free and they give you a stipend at the end. So she was basically learning like if your garden grosses over $1,000, the government considers it a farm. So they got all these different grants and different things that they can give to these gardens, but they can't do it unless they gross a certain amount of money. And then once you do that, it's different avenues you can go into. Like you can get contracts with schools to supply this thing. So you supply this school apples, you supply this, or you can get a contract with these different restaurants. Is there any like gems that you can drop about the whole agribusiness or how to start getting into that and start making money doing it? Or, just like you just say, boxing it up, putting it in boxes and selling it out.
To start, I will say, like, if there was ever a business that prints money, is food, because everybody got to eat. It is difficult in big cities, and, when I would task y'all to do like homework on urban agriculture and how influential Detroit has been in that movement. We were one of the first big cities to embrace urban agriculture. We had like people were going hungry like the turn of the century, and the mayor at the time, or governor rather, was telling people plant potatoes in y'all backyard. You know what I'm saying? Because people was fucking legitimately starving to death. And people started planting, gardens and shit and was feeding each other. We are pretty much like the OGs of urban agriculture, specifically in Detroit, given like, just look at what the crack era did, all the fires and they burned down all that shit. We the biggest city with all this land available. So you go like to New York and Philly and all these other big cities, Chicago, they don't have the land we have. Like they have buildings on.
We got so much.
We got so much land.
So much. That's my bad.
Yeah, so we have the ability to really like grow shit. Our government is so behind locally. Our city government is so behind where it is very difficult for black people to get land, or Detroiters. That's not making a black thing. If you from Detroit, the chance of you getting land here is very hard because they gonna sell that shit to somebody out of town, and they just don't prioritize people from the city. Legacy Detroiters taking advantage of land, but once you can do it, it's printing money, man. Like it don't take a lot of money, really. You know what I'm saying? Couple $100,000. Like it take a couple grand for a half acre. But you need some soil, you need some seeds, some water, and it's nature. Shit gonna do what it do. It is the most satisfying job that I've ever had, given that, I'm so busy and I work so much. That shit is therapy. It's meditation for me. As far as gyms, everybody different. Somebody want, to grow a certain type of crop. There's no one way to do it or approach it. But outside of just the fact that you can make a lot of money, work for it, but it's just peaceful as hell.
It is.
It's so peaceful, and it's so satisfying, man. To just take this little thing called a seed, put it in some soil, water it, the sun play with it, and the wind play with it, and then you see something grow out the ground, and then you managing it. You ain't really doing no work at that point, you know what I mean? You're just kind of the manager of it. It's the most, I don't know, man, I just love doing it. But as far as like gyms, like we still have a lot of work to do on the local level. Nationally, you hear things like, you know, President Biden cleared XYZ amount of money to, you know, agriculture. But that shit got to affect locally. And we don't have the infrastructure right now or like the people who care. People working on shit, but it's still a work in progress. But I think, man, the best advice is start in the backyard, man. Like, start in your backyard and just just touch, when you touch that soil, man, it'll change your life. It'll change, you know, your outlook on your power. You know what I mean? Like you said, you feeding yourself now, so, you know, you can save money. Once you see what it can do to your personal life, just imagine what that can do to others, and then you can make a real business out of it. So, but agriculture is, I mean, shit, it's the foundation to all this shit. You know what I'm saying? We cannot live off this processed ass food, and we got to get back to real whole food. And I'm grateful, despite, you know, the pandemic happening. I don't think that if it never would have happened, I don't think we would be paying attention to agriculture or like grocery stores for that matter in the way that we do. But it's absolutely it's a blessing to still be alive and doing it. You know, so many people died in that, you know, the COVID pandemic, but it created opportunities for a lot of folks like me. So
yeah, I've been gardening since I was 7. So my mom, she raised us up, and my father, he raised us up gardening and stuff. The only bad part about it is dealing with those groundhogs and stuff. You got to put cayenne pepper on the to keep them away from the stuff. But even if you own a house or you own the land that you living at, it makes the other land that's next to it cheap. So if you got an empty lot next to your house, you can buy that for cheap, and then somebody across town can buy it for as cheap as you got it. If it's an empty lot next to your house, because that's what we did. Like, my mom was just buying the different empty lots next to her house, and then start planting the garden right there because it was super cheap. Yeah. But
it's beautifying too. You know, it's gonna raise the property values around it, because sitting just a vacant lot, like, so much bullshit can happen in that vacant lot. You know what I mean? Like, you know, throw a barbecue, you just park your cars and that motherfucker, and little shit like that. It's not beautiful.
It's not.
You start adding beauty to neighborhoods. Value brings you know,
we create the value. They ain't gotta create it.
Yeah,
we create it
the value. You put a garden somewhere, man, it's gonna give everybody a different form of intention. Like, you know what? I'm about to start cutting my grass a little more. I'm about to pick the trash up. I'm about to do a little shit. Like, I didn't see that before too, you know, and that was another thing that made me wanna just kind of change the way that I was approaching business. Again, in that nice car, riding up the street, I ran up some raggedy ass neighborhoods and streets and shit where motherfuckers didn't care about the grass. They didn't give a fuck about the neighbors. They didn't even speak to the neighbors. You know what I'm saying? But it take a little pressure when you start seeing them white folks move in and you start seeing opportunity come and you ain't really at them tables. Nah, I'm a Detroiter. No, fuck that. I've been here. You know what I mean? I never left the city when I graduated high school. I graduated in 2007. And a lot of my classmates, they went to Michigan State, UM, out-of-state colleges and universities. I went to Marygrove, right in the hood. So,
damn,
and I graduated. I graduated into a recession. So the city was already about to bankrupt. And then we had a national recession, city bankrupt. Everything was fucked up. So I seen everything, and then when I seen everything come back, it's like, damn, we ain't even at the tables.
Not at all.
So it's like, no, we gotta, you know, I'm a Detroiter. You know what I mean? I've been here. I've been here at its worst. I want to be here and take advantage of the opportunity too. So gardens and shit like that create that anchoring businesses, give you a reason to want to move here. You know, can't move in a neighborhood that don't got a school, don't got a grocery store, don't got a place where you can, you know, take care of your health and shit like that. You may have pets and you ain't got no veterinarian, little shit like that. Like, you need that in your community. You don't need no motherfucking McDonald's and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, you want in the suburbs, like they they have those. That's a construct in itself because they want to get away from all the shit. So they don't have necessarily grocery stores either. They rely on the big boxes and all that. But that's whatever I got to do to stay away from these niggas or whoever I want to stay away from. Like, you look at, like, 8 Mile, that's the wall. But that's where all the businesses is at. On the other side of 8 Mile is where everybody live. But they have a different mentality. You know what I mean? They wanna be away from people. We live in a place where we ain't got no choice but to be around people. We have to make that a beautiful thing.
Hey, man, tell them where they can find you, man.
I'm on all socials, Instagram and Twitter, and TikTok now. That's Pharaoh Rafa, as FAIRO_RAFA. On all of those, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I had a website, neighborhood-grocery.com. Hit me in my DMs. I'm always, seeing them and reaching out, kicking it. We got a bunch of books out here, outside of the grocery store. I just released my 4th book with my brother Asa Lockett, Make the Hood Healthy Again. It's an Amazon bestseller. It's a health manual just to get us on our path of being our own doctors and just, pursuing better health. So I'm in these streets outside of just, growing food and building a grocery store. I've been putting in that work just to make, the city a better place. And, yeah, man, fuck with me, hit me up. Let's collab, let's work, let's build, and, love everybody.
Man, I appreciate you coming on this episode of
Appreciate
Breaking the Machine, man. Powerful episode, man.
Yes, sir.
Gotta make the hood healthy, make the hood great, man. Y'all stay tuned in for another episode next week, man. Like I always say, text BTM to 1313-825-4140. All right? And then follow us on Instagram at BR The Machine, man. It's Rafa Wright, BR The Machine, Breaking the Machine. It's a wrap. You dig?
You dig.